Yo, yo, get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
What's up, everybody? How we doing tonight? I'm Dustin Jones. This is Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse, Monday night edition. I'm supposed to have Brandon in here with me, but he's having some technical difficulties. He's trying to log back in. Let's see what we got. What up, Brandon? How you doing?
Oh, living the dream, man. The re-screen dream. Man, I don't know what's going on, man. It keeps kicking me out.
Yeah, we'll work with it. We'll figure it out. But thanks to everybody in the chat for being here. It's already popping off. Plank, D-Lock, Jeremy, Brian. Appreciate all y'all for being here. Please hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with a friend. Hit the notification bell. We're here to talk some Bears. Brandon, you excited?
Yeah, I think I still got the energy carried over from the last one, man.
Yeah, man. Well, let's do it, okay? So tonight's thumbnail, what we're talking about here is, can Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears find their own version of Jameson Williams? Jameson Williams, I mean, a couple years in the league already, but he really broke out this season, and it seemed to take that offense to another level, that dynamic of his playmaking ability, his speed, his gadget ability. There's a lot of things that Jameson Williams brought to that offense that really unlocked some things for Ben Johnson. And you wonder if Ben Johnson can find a guy that's not going to be on his level. That's clearly the case. Jameson Williams is kind of a one-on-one, but someone who's a poor man's version to kind of have that element in this offense. What do you think the odds of that are, first and foremost, and how much do you think Ben Johnson is really pushing for something like that, given he said he's going to build the playbook around the guys that he has on this team?
Well, yeah, and we talked about this earlier today, Dustin. I think Velus Jones was kind of what the Bears. I mean, Velus Jones was the Bears' version of this. It didn't work. They did spend a third-round pick on Velus Jones. Obviously, not the same as Jameson, who was a first-rounder, but he did tear his knee in college. And I thought Randall Noel, who the Bears hired as their wide receivers coach, did a really good job of kind of bringing him in, right? I mean, this guy had a suspension from drugs, from gambling. Randall Noel was able to kind of get this guy's head wrapped around what was important. I think when you're talking about Jameson Williams and the Bears looking for that piece, I think you're regarding speed, right? That's what we're relating this to, just a speed.
In its most basic sense, yeah, like a speedster that can take the top off the defense, right?
Yeah, and if you're going to do that, I don't like the option. I don't love the options in free agency. Where their players were all aware of their potential, their ceilings. I think they've kind of reached their ceilings. You could definitely go for a mid-round pick after a guy who's running a 4.35. Those guys are going to be there, but they're not going to be as established as Jameson Williams was.
Jameson Williams is a hell of a player, man. And you knew it watching him the last couple of years. Like, this guy has something, and like you were just waiting for it to break out. And like you said, that Antoine Randall L factor in Detroit seemed to really get him on the right track, to focus on the right things, to get better at football, more disciplined, and some more a part of that offense. But I mean, the odds of you finding that guy are very low, because he is a very talented, very special player. But you talked about free agency, Brandon, so let's get into that. I mean, if you're talking about just straight speed in free agency, the wide receiver free agent class is kind of meh this year if you look up and down it. But if you're talking about a guy with some speed, Marquise Brown is that guy. Like, if you're just looking for speed to like just stretch the defense,
don't bring that Hollywood over here, Dustin.
Hollywood, yeah. Jaylin Johnson wouldn't like that. You're right. I didn't even think about that, Brandon. That's why you're here. You bring the heart.
Move on from it.
What do you think of Marquise Brown as that option? I mean, I don't think he's going to cost very much. I mean, he's not been healthy for a couple of years now, but he's a speedster.
Yeah, I think when Hollywood's a healthy player, he's really good. I really do. I thought the Chiefs signing him was like a really smart move by the Chiefs, but like you said, Dustin, this guy's health has been killing him. I wonder if there's a player on the like the Bears drafted a speedster in Tyler Scott. Randall L seemed to get Jameson Williams on the right track.
Hey, I like this.
Can he do something for Tyler Scott? I mean, we know the guy has the physical ability. It's clearly something mental that he's not grasping a hold of. Can better coaches make Tyler Scott a better potential player? Probably. But yeah, I mean, Dustin, we went through some Tutu Atwell, Brandon Cooks, Hollywood Brown. Those are the guys that are probably running the best 40s, right, in free agency.
Yeah, the guys with the most speed, and obviously Brandon Cooks has lost some speed, but I really like what you're talking about. I mean, and Darius comments on Marquise Brown can't put a full season together. That's a big risk you're taking. So obviously you're going to get him on the cheap because of that, because there is talent there, but it's like, can he be on the field? But I really like what you just brought up, Brandon, in terms of do we already have that guy on this team? I saw potential in Tyler Scott in that draft. I was very happy the Bears drafted him. I've been very disappointed that the guy can't get on the freaking field. Obviously, there's some head shit there, right? Because like he's not able to participate in practice and put in good effort to where the coaches are like, this should be rewarded with playing time. So there's been something there that's kept Tyler Scott from getting on the field to make that impact. Is Antoine Randall L the guy to unlock that for him and get his head right? I really like that thought experiment, Brandon. I mean, what do you think the odds are of that? If you're going to bank on a guy to do it, it's Antoine Randall L after what he did with Jameson Williams, right?
Yeah, and I love the mentality, Dustin, that these coaches have with the players that are already on the roster. We saw Al Harris reach out to Tyreek Stevenson immediately and suggest to him, there's this camp that you could attend that might help you develop into a more professional player in the NFL. And if it's like Dustin, you turned me on to Tyler Scott, and I'll say this: one of the first times, guys, in my fandom history where somebody, well, like I said, you turned me on to somebody that I was paying attention to prior to the draft actually
got drafted
in Chicago, right?
I kind of love that guy.
Yeah, and that Cincinnati team was undefeated, even with Desmond Ridder at quarterback. Tyler Scott bailed him out of a lot. I mean, Tyler Scott was a huge piece of their success. I think that Randall L could definitely whip him into shape, man. There's no way that you're going to come onto this, you're going to adopt this team as a coach and just think, a guy that runs a 4.34, like you got to see some potential there, right?
He's the one guy on your roster currently that can do exactly what we're talking about, that has that speed to run past the defense, take the top off it, stretch out that defensive backfield, and really open up another dimension of your offense. We were wanting to see it all season. And like we're talking about, there's a reason we weren't able to. He was not doing something right in practice. So if this new coaching staff, this coaching is hugely important, right? If they can come into this building with the mind state of let's try to make this guy better and turn him into our Jameson Williams. Like there's a chance that could happen. And this is why I love talking to different people about different aspects of this stuff, because like, you know, I've been super high on Tyler Scott, but he's kind of become a forgotten man on this team. But what if this new coaching staff, what if Ben Johnson is looking at him like this could be an X factor for my offense? And they really put a lot of attention and detail into helping him figure this football thing out. You know, like it could work out really well potentially.
And if you compare the two players, Jameson Williams and Tyler Scott, and I was honestly, guys, I will say this, real quick, Rome Odunze is going to play that role. I don't mean the speedster necessarily, but Jameson Williams was the number 2 receiver on the Detroit Lions. Rome Odunze or DJ Moore, I don't know who's going to be. One of those guys is going to be the number 2. But can I ask, even though he went to a national championship, he had a major injury, but he was a really good player, Jameson Williams. He was a better player, a collegiate player than Tyler Scott was, but was he not a greater challenge for a wide receiver coach than a guy like Tyler Scott?
Yeah,
more issues, right?
Yeah. 100%. I mean, it seems like the Tyler Scott thing is like a wrapping his head around the game thing. That's the only thing, because again, the skill set is there, the talent is there, the physical traits that you're looking for in that type of player are there. So can the Bears tap into it and unlock something that we haven't seen from Tyler Scott yet? That would be obviously the most ideal situation, because that draft pick then turns into something valuable that you're getting return on your investment for, and you're not having to go out to spend money or draft capital to get that guy because you already have him on your team. Like that's where we want it to be, man. that would be the best case scenario, and I would love to see that happen because I did have high hopes for Tyler Scott coming out of college.
Yeah, and then we've discussed this, Dustin, and all the guys in the chat are aware of it. And, I know Trax putting the show together was aware of the fact that maybe the targets were spread so thin. You had DeAndre Swift, who catches the ball. You had Cole Kmet. You had Keenan Allen. You had Rome Odunze. And if Keenan Allen is no longer on this football team, there's no doubt there's more opportunity and more targets to go around, right?
Well, I don't know why I'm blanking on the guy's name right now that ended up
Carter.
DeAndre Carter, yes. So that was the thing that was concerning to me because I went into the season thinking like Tyler Scott will be the next man up in this rotation. I didn't expect him to be a prime staple in the offense, but if somebody went down, Tyler Scott would be that guy that stepped up into that role. And that never happened. They went with DeAndre Carter over Tyler Scott. That's what concerned me the most about Tyler Scott and what he's actually putting on film during practice that was keeping the coaches from even giving him a shot when they desperately needed something like that in their offense, and he should have been the next man up.
Yeah, and another thing I want to kind of hone in on, man, is Caleb Williams, as I've said before, what impresses me the most is his intelligence. He's a very, very smart quarterback. He learns and adapts quickly. In the preseason, Dustin, I thought Caleb Williams was looking for Tyler Scott down the field. He threw him a really beautiful pass. Tyler Scott was held on the play.
Pass interference in the preseason, yeah.
And I thought Tyler Scott kind of got punished after that game for that incident, man. A pass interference is just as good as a catch, if you ask me. It really is. Like Caleb Williams hit him with the pass that he would have caught. Tyler Scott would have had that ball. He would have ran to the end zone. The defender did a smart thing to stop that from happening. But I think Caleb likes a guy I think Caleb wants a burner. And I think
he needs it.
He's willing to take chances if he has a guy who can create separation downfield.
Okay, so we got the Tyler Scott potential. Well, we're hoping for that, right? Like, fingers crossed. We talked about Marquise Brown, Tutu Atwell. Draft-wise, let me run you some 30 times for potential guys. I mean, listen, the first guy, it's not going to be on the Bears' radar, I don't think, because they would need to take him pretty damn high, is Emeka Egbuka, 4.3 40-yard dash.
That's the Ohio State kid?
Yeah. So, but then you got Matthew Golden. He's a 4.38. He's 6 foot, 195. Isaiah Bond, he's a 4.28. He is a burner, one hell of a burner, 5'11", 180 pounds.
He's a recorded 4.28?
4.28 is what I'm looking at right now on NFLDraftBuzz.com.
On his 40?
Yeah, 4.28. He's a burner.
That's Xavier Worthy, man.
He's the guy that caught the Hail Mary from Jalen Milroe in the game against Auburn a couple years back. He transferred to Texas. He's coming out of Texas.
Yeah.
Then we got Jalen Royals, 4.38. That's okay. And then Tez Johnson, who's like the smallest receiver you could ever imagine at 5'10", 165 pounds. But he's a tank delt kind of. He's recorded at a 4.33. So, there's some options there in the middle rounds of the draft for that guy as well, whether it's just bringing in competition for a guy like Tyler Scott or just bringing in the guy that's going to be that person in your offense. I think that's probably the best route to take if you're going to get that guy on your team. I don't know about free agency. I don't see anything I really like or that's worth spending money on, to be honest. But I'll draft one of those guys. But then you start to wonder, like, how much draft capital do the Bears have to spare when they have to fix so many things, offense and defensive line, to where you're now spending a third or fourth or fifth round pick on a wide receiver? It becomes tough to allocate.
I'm sorry, but I'm always going to see it this way. I know when Rome Odunze and DJ Moore are your starters, this is a luxury, guys. When you're talking but I do believe this, and you've said this, Dustin, Ben Johnson's going to take what the Bears have and make an offense out of that. But he is, as he's pointed out regarding David Montgomery and a running back who runs that style, he is trying to emulate this. So I would not put it past Ben Johnson, especially how innovative he is with play calling, to want a beat you over the top guy, even if that's the only role the guy plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his offense, any offense in the NFL needs that. So it's something that they will have to address one way or the other. I do believe so. Are you going to get to the level of Jameson Williams? No, because Jameson Williams took years to get to his level, and a lot of coaching and a lot of growth and development to turn into what he turned into this past year, averaging 17.5 yards per catch and just being a threat every time he's on the field. The Bears are not going to have that guy this year. Now, can they have one sparingly if they were to draft one or find one in free agency that can fill in some spots and make some big plays here and there? Yes, 100%. But it's going to take a little time to develop that kind of guy within this offense. But the Bears definitely need it, and Ben Johnson is going to be looking for it because he understands the dynamic it brings to an offense that he calls. So like it's definitely a good conversation to have because we do have those established receivers on the outside, and it's like, well, I mean, like you said, it's kind of a luxury, but if it's a luxury that takes your offense from this level to this level, then it becomes a worthwhile one.
Yeah, and more importantly, if there's an aspect of Ben Johnson's playbook that he feels he can't utilize because he doesn't have that piece, it's important that he gets it.
And handcuffs him. Yeah.
And dude, I don't know, what was his name? Golden? The 428? Bond. If he isn't like a super established receiver in college football, that number alone at the combine is going to make him a first-round pick. That's ridiculous.
He's not going to be a first-round pick. I mean, listen, Xavier Worthy jumped up draft boards last year, so I guess anything's possible. There's a lot of time to go here, but like that speed is hard to pass up on. And if you can get a guy like that in the third round, Tez Johnson is another interesting one, but it remains to be seen. I do real quick want to just shout out everybody in the chat. We got Ant Mass, Darius Lockhart, Brian Hendren, AC Adam, Trapakeepa, Jeremy Munoz. Who else?
Up, guys?
Dante Purify. Appreciate you, boss. Everybody in here, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Yeah, I'm sure if you haven't already, and share it with a friend. Because we have a lot of fun doing this, and we just want to spread it around as much as we can and make sure everybody is able to get in on it. And then I do have some news that I do want to break in terms of CSP's future endeavors. Brandon Trax informed us today that he is going to be working on a YouTube channel for the Hall of Fame, being directly involved with the Hall of Fame, getting interviews with Hall of Fame players, consistent access to Canton every year for the Hall of Fame ceremony. It's a very big deal for a channel like this, and we're all just super happy. Congratulations to Trax for pulling that off. I mean, hardest working man in this business that I've seen so far, and I mean,
and the work that he's done with the Hall of Fame prior, guys. I mean, Trax with Mongo, well deserved.
100%. So it's awesome news. Great for Trax, great for CSP. I look forward to things to come in regards to that, and I just want to get that out there. Make sure everybody get that out there. Make sure everybody knows like we are moving up and working on bigger and better things always. And we appreciate y'all for being here every show, every night of the week. We're always on here for you guys, trying to get you content. And we just have a lot of fun doing this. And I hope y'all have a lot of fun being here. And that's why I hope y'all hit that like and subscribe button. Demond Ice says DJ Moore runs 4.42, Adunze 4.45, and Tyler Scott 4.39.
And I knew this was going to come. I did, and I'm with you here, man. So this I want to explain the difference because I knew Rome was going to be mentioned in particular. Rome's top speed is just as high, guys, as any of the players in the NFL. It's the burst off the line. With
the acceleration.
40, they're measuring a 40 because these guys can go.
How quickly can you get to that speed?
Yes. It's a short distance. How fast are you going in a short period of time? And Jameson Williams compared to Rome Odunze and DJ Moore, I'm sorry, if that's a foot race, they're done. they're dead in the water. Jameson Williams is going to burn you all day, guys. This is why Tyreek Hill can beat track runners. You know what I mean? Guys who are in the Olympics challenge Tyreek Hill to a race. But yeah, the top speed in the NFL is around 23 miles an hour for receivers, DBs, guys like those.
And there's a difference. There's always been a difference that kind of gets overlooked when you just look at the analytics and the numbers and how fast this guy's 40 time is or what's his spark or what the hell's the rating that they do out of the draft? Is it the spark or like all these different analytical things? You kind of look past that. Game speed is very different than running in shorts. And Jerry Rice did not run a very fast 40 time, but when he got on the field, nobody could catch him. You know what I'm saying? So like there's a difference between like that 40 speed and just being a burner on the field too, you know. So it's like
and getting, here's the most important. This is what Jameson Williams really impresses me with is
that's what we're talking about.
The bump and run, guys, the physical corners. When you're a burner, corner is always going to press you at the line and press release, which is what most impressed me about Rome Odunze. What impresses me about Jameson Williams, guys, we saw Jameson Williams twice this year burn the Bears with a double move at the line. You know what I mean? You have to get off of these physical corners. You've got to get off these guys at the line. Yeah. If you get stuck there, a play takes seconds to unfold.
You saw it with Xavier Worthy, Brandon, at the beginning of this season. He had a very tough time.
Oh, he got in practice.
Yeah, he got and in the games too. It took him a while to start figuring out how to beat that press at the line and have his speed actually be worth something to where Patrick Mahomes had time to get it to him downfield. You know, you got to get to a certain spot in a certain amount of time. And these guys do struggle with that, especially the smaller ones. So if you're talking about some of these guys that we're talking about in the draft, like Tez Johnson, like how are you going to get off the line of scrimmage? What are you doing for that? You know, so it's like, and maybe that's an issue for Tyler Scott. You know, we were talking about the Tyler Scott thing and Plank brought it up again. Bears need to get Scott more involved. We agree, but it's like, there's something he's not getting to where he's not getting on the field.
And if you can't press release, well, Dustin, when you're in practice against these Bears DBs, against Jaylin Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson, if you ain't good at it, these guys are going to exploit that badly in practice. Tyreek Stevenson's going to hit you hard at the line.
I love this comment from Ant-Mess. Running fast solo, running fast when chase, running fast game day, running fast from cops, all different kinds of fast. Very good point. You know, like, you know, you hear about the mom who can lift the car off their kid, you know, just out of nowhere. Like that adrenaline hits you and like you're able to do things that, you know, in one situation that you're not able to do in another. And I mean, all of that being said, just to kind of say that there's different kinds of speed, and the Bears just need some of it. And Rome does have some speed to him, and DJ Moore obviously does, you know. And I wouldn't mind DJ Moore being in the slot and potentially playing that role of the Jameson Williams in this Bears offense. If you're talking about Jameson Williams in the Detroit offense, and now Brandon's gone, but we expected that to happen, guys, so bear with me. But DJ Moore could potentially turn into that role, that gadget player. You saw the Bears start doing a lot of end arounds and reverses and sweeps with him, the gadget plays. And he's also, I got you, Brandon, I see you. So, I mean, what do you think of that, Brandon, just for another thought experiment? Like, is DJ Moore the potential answer to this question that's right underneath our nose?
Well, the thing I love about DJ Moore and his speed is he's able to use it in a lot of different ways. Like DJ Moore is kind of like Xavier Worthy, very similar. You want to give this player the ball no matter what he's doing, even if it's handing it to him out of the backfield. That's where I see Tyler Scott probably failed pretty miserably for this team. You see punt returns and kick returns and carries out of the backfield. He probably wasn't doing that very well in practice. And when you have a burner on your team, you want to utilize that guy in every way that you can. Xavier Worthy, guys, was a much better ball carrier before he was a receiver in the NFL. His first touchdown came from being
the end around
in the backfield. Yeah. So
it was technically a pass. It was one of those like
yeah.
yeah.
It was opening night, right?
Yeah. So getting guys involved in different ways. I mean, if the Bears were to draft a guy, they're going to have to bring him along slowly. We know that. So again, I'm just saying, like DJ Moore is a guy who's already schooled in running those type of plays and has shown an ability to make guys miss and beat guys to the edge. So maybe he's the guy the Bears utilize in that role, and we're adding another outside threat potentially. I saw Darius Slayton brought up earlier. He can be a boundary receiver, deep field threat as well. You know, Pat Bryant out of Illinois is a guy who could be a boundary receiver, a great contested catch guy, could be had for a 5th-round pick. And then you move DJ Moore into the slot. I mean, there's a lot of different options here. And then you talk about free agent receivers that are out there that aren't just these burners, because what if DJ Moore can just be that guy for you in this offense? I don't know. It's just something.
Well, and the good thing is if he wants to mirror the offense that he had in Detroit, knowing that he's got different players and different personnel to use in different ways, you have the two guys, right? You have, whether it be Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. You have two big-time receivers that 100%. Are going to help your quarterback.
And that's the biggest point to make here, I think, is that Ben Johnson is not going to take the template. He said it already. He's not going to take the template from Detroit and just try to fit everyone here in Chicago into that template. He is taking who's in Chicago, and he's building a brand new template around them. So what we saw him do in Detroit is not necessarily what we're going to see him do in Chicago based on the strengths of this offense and the skill players that they have currently. And that's the main thing we got to remember in this conversation.
Yeah, and what should excite you most as a fan, man, is, as he said earlier, he built the offense in Detroit around the abilities of Jared Goff. That's where it starts, right? And Ben Johnson said in his press conference, we build it around Caleb. It's Caleb's offense. And sorry, guys, all due respect to Jared Goff, he got his monies, and he deservedly so. He's gone to a few NFC Championship games, but you can do a lot more with Caleb Williams than you can Jared Goff, right? You can build a much more intricate offense around a guy who can throw the ball any which way on the run than a guy who likes to sit in the pocket, right?
And a guy who can also run the ball a lot better than Jared Goff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Goff is going to stand in the pocket. That's the way Ben Johnson had to build it.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of freedom here. I think Ben Johnson was licking his chops last year when he saw that the Bears had drafted Caleb Williams. You know what I mean?
We got some new people. I see Ant Mess here, Demond Ice. What else we got here? Matt Cooper, what up, man? How you doing? Checking in from Nashville. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're enjoying the show. Appreciate you being here. Vizzo Joe in the flesh. Sup, Bear Down. How you doing?
What's up, guys?
We appreciate everybody for being here. If you got anything you want to talk on before we get out of here, please throw it in the chat. Any questions, any thoughts, we'll try to address it. I mean, I feel like we've talked about this as much as it can be talked about. There's speculation on what the Bears could be adding to this offense. But again, the main, and Brian in here. What up, Brian? Long time no see. How you doing?
What's going on, Brian?
Yeah, man. But like the main thing to remember is that it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all offense that Ben Johnson is just bringing here. And that's the most comforting and encouraging thing about this hire of Ben Johnson is that he's not going to try to fit the square peg in the round hole. He's going to make it work with what we have. He's going to build it around that. And the Bears might not ever have a Jameson Williams, but that's okay because they got DJ Moore and they got Rome Odunze. And they got DeAndre Swift, and they got whoever else they had in terms of running backs and receivers. And Ben Johnson is one of the, if not the most smartest offensive mind in football. So he's going to figure out how to utilize these guys. That's the most important thing to remember.
And you hit the nail on the head, Dustin. This should make you more than ecstatic as a Bears fan, knowing that, because we probably saw the most negligent example of this in Matt Nagy, where he took what he was running somewhere else, came here with a whole different, especially quarterback. Justin Fields was a player that needed to be utilized in a very specific way. And he just tried to fit Fields, the square piece, into his round offense, right? It's like, how frustrated were all of us? Like, dude, change something. It's this player has some really special abilities, Justin Fields, and you're not doing anything with them. Ben Johnson.
Luke Getsy did the same thing, Brandon. Luke Getsy did it worse.
So did Waldron. I thought Waldron did too. I didn't think Waldron was ready to adapt to anything. They clearly needed to run the football, and he didn't care.
Yeah. No, listen, Luke Getsy tried to make Justin Fields something he wasn't instead of leaning into what Justin Fields was. I don't know if it would have worked out, but I was screaming for, like, Justin Fields needs to be utilized a certain way, and our offensive coordinator clearly does not understand that. Right now, we have an offensive coordinator who is our head coach because he's that damn good of an offensive coordinator that I have some pretty supreme confidence in the fact that he's not going to make that same mistake. He's a smart dude. He's seen other people do it. He knows what's what. 4-Star Chicago Sports, what's up? You guys can find me and Brandon on 4-Star Chicago Sports. Just did a show earlier, The Household Hangover. Please go check it out and like it if you had not seen it already.
You just want the passion come forth.
Yeah, said off subject. There's a report that the Bengals plan to use the franchise tag on T. Higgins. Here's what it means for a long-term deal, when it could happen, and other details that we have on the Star. Okay, yeah. I mean, they appear to want to hold on to T. Higgins, and they seem to might want to find a way to make that work, and that could mean Trey Hendrickson is on the move. Yeah, that news came out earlier today. Listen, one more time. Going to be the exclusive YouTube channel for Hall of Fame interviews, videos. Not sure of all the details yet, but I do know it's going to be a real big thing. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to produce a lot more great content for everybody. So, one more time, just happy for CSP, happy for Tracks.
I really like this Hall of Fame class too.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting year to be viewing it. It's the smallest class since 2005, I believe.
Was it 3?
4 players. 4 players. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting year for CSP. It's going to be an interesting year for the Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson. It's going to be an interesting year for all of us, guys. So we appreciate everybody for being here.
We might get who knows, Dustin? Maybe one day Jared Allen will be doing a lasso on this show. You never know.
Maybe one day Myles Garrett will be on the show.
Yeah.
He's a future.
We know that's a first ballot.
Yeah, first ballot all the way. Listen, everybody, it's going to be a great year. It's already been a great one. We appreciate everybody for being here. More to come on the Chicago Bears, obviously. There's still a lot that needs to be hammered out here to figure out what this team's going to look like, and we're all excited. We'll keep talking on it. We'll keep speculating on it, and we'll keep hoping for the best. We need a competitive football team in Chicago, Brandon.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't care how Ben Johnson does it as long as he does it, man.
Listen, it's going to happen. Ben Johnson is going to take us to the promised land, I think. I hope.
And I will say this. I believe Ryan Poles made a good decision in hiring him. He probably knows his job is depending on the success of Ben Johnson. So if Ben Johnson says to Ryan Poles, "Get me a Jameson Williams," he better do something. He better go.
Yeah, no, we've seen too many times where Matt Eberflus said, "Well, this is what makes my defense go," and then you pass on Jalen Carter. You got to just kind of work in very good synchronicity with your head coach to get them the things that they need to give you the success on the field that you've been greatly lacking. And hopefully this is a changing theme in Chicago where we're going to have that good relationship between the two. They're both going to be highly involved. We're adding some great minds to that room, hopefully, and some better things happen in terms of the draft and free agency. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see what happens. And we'll be here with you all the way, giving you the information as soon as it happens. So we appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here, Chicago Sports Podcast. Again, you can find me and Brandon on 4-Star Chicago Sports as well. Just did a show earlier. Go check that out. Give it a like for us. Hit the like button today. Share, subscribe. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Bear down.
Thanks, guys.